I'm so happy to have this opportunity to meet and speak with Bianca Oliveira. Bianca, thank you so much for joining me today. And how's your day going so far?
Thank you for having me. First of all, my day is going pretty calm and chill because it's Monday today. So I'm not teaching, I'm not practicing, I'm just enjoying myself. Of course, I have my responsibilities as a mother. I needed to go for my son in 1 hour or so. But so far, less things to do, which feels nice.
Yes, because today is the Lunar New Year, the new moon signifying, I guess, the lunar calendar New Year. So it's I guess, a super special new moon. I don't, but you have the day off, which is incredible. And
Yes.
you're located in Poland, yes?
Yes, I'm in the south of Poland.
And you have Ashtanga Yoga Katowice, which is your online and in-person teaching. What does your
Mhm.
in-person teaching look like in Poland? Do you have a studio? Do you teach at a yoga studio? Are you going doing privates at people's houses? What does your
Mhm.
in-person practice look like right now?
So I had a very long break from my in-person classes because I was traveling a lot to India and I was spending many months in Asia. So it didn't make sense for me to keep like a commercial place. But many things has changed, and when I came back now recently, I decided to rent a place and to open my space. But for now, my classes have only opportunity to happen during the evening hours, which is a bit difficult for me because in the evening I'm usually like ran out and I like to go to bed very early. However, the people here in Poland and especially in my city, they're happier with evening hours for classes and practice than early morning. So they are very happy about that. My students, I'm kind of getting used to it. And yeah, we'll see how it goes on the next months. And if I get like some morning hours, I will teach also in the morning.
Does
But
that
morning hours mostly online.
Gotcha. Does that mean that you're renting a space, but the space is only available in the evening?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Is it in a dance studio or a yoga studio or what type of
It's
space is it?
like a cultural center for kids and teenagers. It's a very traditional place in Katowice and also in Poland because it's a branch of a cultural space. So lots of things are happening there, like dance classes, music classes, swimming classes, gymnastics, and yeah, all kind of stuff.
Nice.
And there is a very nice yoga room, like a yoga shala, but it's mostly occupied now during the day. And early morning, I'm kind of busy with my son for school. So if I have to teach there before my school, the school of my son, I had to start super early in the morning, which my students were not going to be happy about it. So yeah,
It, is the
evening.
culture is the culture in Poland a little more like Spain, where everything comes to life like later at night and or
It's not similar culturally, but um, people go to work around 7 and then come back around, 6 o'clock. So yeah, they go to bed late usually. And to tell them like, okay, you need to be ready 6 o'clock for class. That means that they need to wake up between maybe 4:30 a.m., 5 o'clock. It's like a nightmare. Maybe
no.
you're gonna work for 1 week and then they're like run out.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I,
little by little, I'll try to make it happen a more like early morning class. But for now, this is what it is. But
I
in the past, I was teaching in the morning and also some late afternoons, and I always had more people practicing the evening hours than in the morning. So it's just how it is here. I don't know.
That makes sense. I mean, obviously we're in the middle of winter right now. I'm thinking it has to be quite cold there.
Yeah, it's cold and it's very dark, so
Yeah.
that's makes the process a bit harder too.
Yeah, getting up at 4 a.m. in the dark, cold
Mhm.
is a little more challenging, isn't it,
Oh, yeah.
than being in India. and
Yes.
on a little motorbike and cruising. Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Well,
Yeah. So
how did you end up in Poland?
my husband is Polish.
Nice. Where'd you guys
Yeah.
meet?
We met in Mysore in India.
Wonderful. And he's a practitioner as well. Yoga.
Yeah, he's practicing. Yeah, when we met, we were both practicing with Saraswati um, in Mysore. Yeah,
Wonderful.
yeah. So
Amazing.
he had his phases coming and going, but now he's more steady on his practice. So yeah, he's practicing and
Nice.
yeah,
And how old is your son?
8.
8. Nice. Congratulations. It's
Thank
amazing,
you.
isn't it? Yes. Very cool. And so you're originally from Brazil,
Hmm.
and what was your first move from Brazil? Like how old were you and where did you go first?
Hmm. I moved from Brazil around 2009. I think I was 23 or 24, and I moved to States actually. I moved to United States and I stayed there for about 7 years, and I was living in North Carolina the last few years
Yeah. Nice.
until I went to India, and then I met my Polish husband.
Yes.
So I moved.
And so where did you first practice yoga?
I first practiced yoga in Brazil when I was about 17, 18 years old because I had some back pain, and my grandmother, she advised me to try some yoga class that was close by to our house. I have no idea what style of yoga it was. I think it was some type of hatha yoga. And yeah, I remember I did my first class and I was dying. It was really funny because it was very simple postures, but I felt like so many sensations, like my heart was speeding up, and like I felt dizzy, and it was all those much older ladies on their 50s and 60s doing completely fine, and I was so young, and I was like, oh my gosh, how they do it.
Yeah.
And but of course I was very young and I had other interests. I was in college, and my mind was into partying and drinking and doing other things. And after a few months, I didn't continue. However, I noticed that the back discomfort improved, and I also felt less anxious after the classes. So I think even though I didn't continue, I knew that I have found some type of tool to help me,
Yeah.
even though it was kind of unconscious.
Yes.
This,
Yes.
this, yeah.
Amazing. And from at that point when you started to get re-inspired to practice, what was the circumstances that led to that?
So I was living in United States, but I went to United States to join a circus. It's like big long story. I joined the Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey. I don't know if you heard.
Wow. Yes, of course. Of course.
Yeah,
You joined the circus. Like what?
yeah.
So did you with what skill? What was your
As a
performance?
dancer,
Nice. So
I
you
used to dance as a teenager, but nothing like professionally. But I don't know, this opportunity came up and I took it.
very
So I went
cool.
to United States and I met my husband there, my first husband. And after 2 years living in the circus, I felt like this is too crazy. I just need like a normal living situation, a house, a dog. And we moved to a little town, and I suddenly felt very lonely. I didn't have my circus family, all the Brazilian girls, the group, and yeah, I just felt like that I was getting anxious and a bit depressed, and which was already my tendencies, and the situation just aggravated. So I decided that I had to try something healthy for myself, for my mental health. So I joined some yoga class. it was very far away from the place where we were living, like 1 hour away by car. So I was
Um,
making the effort to go twice a week. I also don't know the style of the yoga class. It was them, maybe some hatha yoga, iyengar and things. And but then we moved to a different city, and in this city there was like one yoga school that they offer also teaching trainings. So I joined this yoga school, and I was trying to battle this depression and anxiety. So I was joining the classes like 2, 3 times a day.
hmm.
I bought like an open pass, and I was going all the time to this studio until they opened this teaching training, and I also signed up for that too, because I felt like I just want to learn more about this
Yeah.
practice. So then things started like slowly get more like a very established, like a established practice for me.
Nice. Very cool. And then I'm curious because you're an authorized Ashtanga yoga teacher.
Mhm.
At what point did you take your first Ashtanga yoga class?
So when I joined this teaching training, it was like a vinyasa teaching training. And then at some point, the main teacher, she had to tell us what this vinyasa practice comes from, the roots, and she put a DVD on the projector. The name of the DVD was Ashtanga Yoga New York. I don't know if you have seen it.
Yeah, by with Eddie Stern. Oh, yeah. Who produced it? I'm not sure, but
I don't remember,
I have
but it was
seen it.
like
I
an
have seen it.
interview.
Yes.
Yeah, I think maybe with Eddie Eastern. I don't know, but it was like some interviews with really famous people and showing some clips of the practice in New York with Patabi Jois and Sharath Jois. And I remember I got fascinated. And having like a dance background, I was like, oh my gosh, that looks like such a beautiful choreography. And I also felt fascinated about this discipline that everybody had and this devotion. And for me, it was like beautiful ingredients to have in the practice, because I was struggling a little bit with like having one thing and repeating in a daily basis.
Mm,
And then after seeing this documentary, I felt like I have found like a practice that would suit my needs.
nice.
Yeah,
And
but I didn't have an Ashtanga teacher there.
yeah.
And it was a vinyasa studio. So, yeah, it was very difficult in the beginning to kind of establish the Ashtanga practice in my life. But yeah, I just kept trying. My teacher invited a friend that has been my source. So he came and he gave like an Ashtanga class introduction. And I got fascinated as well. And then in the end of the class, he told me, well, I noticed you really like this practice. And in few months, Sharath Jois and his mother will be in America doing a tour. And you should sign up and go. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. Okay, I will do that. So I told my teacher, and she said, you're crazy. You shouldn't go. You don't even know the sequence. What are you going to do there?
Yeah.
But then I bought the David Swelson book, and I started studying at home the postures, the photos, and stuff. And I went.
Amazing. Was that when they were in Miami or in New York?
It was actually in Greenwich, in Connecticut.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah. Very cool. And so what was your experience there? You had, I can attest to that similar feeling of learning from external resources, books, DVDs, and then all of a sudden you're in the real thing and you feel very green.
Um,
I felt so green. Like
yeah,
I'm so nervous. Like I was really,
yeah.
really nervous. What was your experience of that
Actually, I
first?
was not that nervous because I was so naive. I didn't even know like
Yeah.
how big Sharath Jois he was back in that time, and Saraswati and the whole system. And so I was like just this happy 5 years old feeling kid going to something fun. I
Yeah.
didn't Yeah, I was not very nervous, which
Well, that's
was,
cool.
yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, I would imagine if you've been performing at the Ringling Brothers Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey. So, yeah, is that how I say it? I can't remember exactly how it's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the whole title. If you've been used to performing in front of crowds, and not to say like going to an Ashtanga yoga workshop is like performing in front of a crowd, but I would imagine that I could see why maybe you wouldn't be intimidated.
I don't know. I can feel easily intimidated by people and attention. Yeah, and like I always had this even before performing in the circus. I always get this nervous feeling in the belly. I was never completely relaxed. I think it's I don't know. Maybe it's normal. Maybe it's not. But
Yeah. Do you remember when the opening mantra was done for the first time and you're in a large group? Did that give you any sort of feeling?
yeah, it felt really magical. It
Yeah.
felt very special
Yeah.
because I had never practiced with such amount of people together. And the sounds, all your senses get so, um,
Yes.
yeah, it was amazing.
That's cool.
So,
And so I'm gathering you had a very good experience.
mhm.
So what happens after this?
um, so my first meeting with him, my first class, it was actually my first Ashtanga class I considered. I felt kind of baptized or something kind of reborn inside me. I felt so good and so happy. And on the last class, he was giving a conference and he said, keep practicing and I will see you in Mysore. He said to everybody, right? But I took very personal.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'm gonna keep practicing and now I have to go to Mysore. I don't even know what it is, but I have to go. So
Love
yeah,
it, Bianca. That's awesome. I love that enthusiasm, like where you're just like, oh man, I found what I want to do. This is where I'm at. That's so cool. So then fast forward, how much time was there between that and your first trip to Mysore?
it 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 took me 2 years. I
Mm.
wish I could go earlier, but I could not go immediately there because of responsibilities and work. And took me 2 years to finally go to Mysore. And the first time I got to send an application, I was already working in person with Tim Feldman, and he was guiding me through the intermediate series. So when I sent my application to the Shala, there was a question back in the day that it was asking if you're a beginner or not. And I put beginner. I don't know. I felt myself beginner, so I put beginner. And then he sent back an email saying, like, if you're a beginner, please sign up with my mother, with Saraswati. And I was like, oh, but I'm already practicing the intermediate series with Tim Feldman. And then he said, well, next time try again and do not put beginner. But I lost, it was too late. The
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
applications, they were completely closed. But I want to go to Mysore anyway. So I sent my application to practice with Saraswati and I went.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I love the fact that you took the path of humility and said, I'm a beginner. Because,
Yeah,
right, like a lot
sometimes
of
I
people,
like maybe I went too low, but I could be already practicing with him. But things are the way they are, and it was how I felt in my mind back then. Um,
and I really like practicing with Saraswati. Did you have a good experience?
oh yes, amazing. She's so nice. I didn't meet Patabi Joyce, but people say that she really resemble her father. She's like sweet, but at the same time very strict. Yeah, I had an amazing experience with her. I
And
went
what?
to her twice, actually.
Nice.
Yeah,
Really?
because I really enjoyed.
That's cool. And what was your feelings and thoughts on was that your first visit to India?
Yes, yes.
What
Uh,
was like that? What was that like for you?
so my first visit was also because Tim, he kind of pushed me a little bit to go. He said to me to join his retreat in Goa with Kino. and then I could go to Mysore and practice. And I was like, all right. So Goa, it's more, I would say, touristic, and it didn't shock me that much. Um, and then we went out to Mysore, which is more, let's say, less touristic. It
Yes.
especially, a few years ago there was less restaurants and things there. Um, but at the same time, the cultural shock that everybody talks about, it was not that much, for me, because I'm from Brazil, and many things in Brazil, especially more in the, let's say, rural or in the countryside, it can have some similarities. Um, but yeah, some things you never get used to, like the lack sometimes, the power disappear, no electricity, and you never know when it's coming back. And
Yes.
yeah, but overall, it was not that super shocking for me. I would say it felt more like home.
Yeah, that's so cool, Bianca. I love hearing that perspective. I haven't heard anybody mention that often, and I hear people say like, "Oh, wow, that was challenging, that was so different." I love hearing that. You were like, "Yeah, it was like not, it was natural for me. It wasn't like, this massive like culture shock experience."
Mm-hmm.
And so then when we first got in the conversation, you had made mention that you've been spending a lot of time in India before where you're settled now. So then you made multiple trips, you continued, and obviously you went in the track of working toward authorization and can you tell me a little bit about that process?
Um, yeah, after I practiced twice with Saraswati, I could finally get in my application to practice with Sharaji. And I got authorized by him on my third trip. But before getting the authorization, I was also practicing between the seasons in the school, doing like they call the regular classes. They have local authorized teachers teaching regular classes. And right now, as an authorized teacher, I cannot, it's a new rule, I cannot practice and do the regular classes anymore. But 1 year, 2 years ago, you still could do it. So I was there all the time, I would say. When I was not practicing with him, I still wanted to be in the shala and have this shala energy, and I could still get to his conferences. um, I wanted to spend as much time as I could in that environment and close to my teacher. Even though sometimes I could not practice with him, I would still like just be around and get to his conferences and yeah, as much as I could. And my family could also be with me because we had a like flexible schedule. So we're all in India together as a family, which make the whole process also much easier.
Yeah, amazing. So your son had grown up for a few of the years out of his 8 in India.
Yeah, we were homeschooling him in India, and yeah,
Very cool. Where were you when the news of Sharath's passing happened? Were you in Poland or were you here in the States?
I was with him actually
Oh,
in,
wow,
yeah,
Bianca.
yeah,
Whoa. You're the
yeah.
first person I'm getting to talk to that was actually here for during when that happened. What was that like?
It was so unexpected and so shocking, extremely sad. And everybody that were there, we felt that we're in some type of different reality. It was so weird.
I
It's like
can't.
I can't find words.
Yeah.
He was completely fine, and we were having the classes, and um, he decided to go to this national park for a hike. So we most of the students went. We all went with him, and it just happened there out of the blue.
Wow. So
And it was
interesting. I
such a
know.
weird day. It
I was
was.
I was in shock. I came into our studio and my wife had sent me the news, and I just was like, I just floored me because well, we're about this, I'm close in age, and
Mm-hmm.
just when anytime anybody like your same age passes
Mm-hmm.
so quickly, I just had this moment of like, oh my goodness,
Yeah,
I
and
really need to
you know,
embrace
like
life. Yeah,
unexpected.
yeah,
Yeah, you feel like, a person that um had like a healthy lifestyle, eating everything that it's very controlled and healthy, and practicing yoga for a long time, and it happened.
yeah. It does. It does. Oh man, I'm so sorry, Bianca. I'm sure that was like really, really surreal. Like
Surreal,
the way you explained it was
surreal.
like we all felt like we were in a different reality or a different that would have that I can get that.
So surreal. It's, yeah, we're all in shock, completely in shock. And still, like, I have noticed that we made lots of progress as a community. But grieving has those waves and phases, right? It's like one day you accept and you feel, it is what it is, and then the next day you feel like so sad because you're never gonna be able to physically be with the person again. And yeah, it's so weird.
I understand. So, I'm thinking that probably you were planning to finish that conference and then travel back to Poland. So
Mhm.
then, did you come back early or did you stay in Virginia for a
No,
little while?
I stayed
Yeah.
until, like, I just continued the plan as it was. We all stayed there and we decided to practice together, and to honor the practice and his teachings. And yeah,
What was that like?
it was very, very weird to practice without him, especially there because it was
You're there to,
expect
yeah, yeah,
to be with him. And it was very sad, but also healing, um,
yes.
and gave us this experience to have those two extremes together, like extremely gratitude, being so grateful to be there together and feel the healing happening, and also feeling very sad and with such deep grief. So, like, those two things together.
I
Uh,
when I saw the picture that Tim posted of his shoes in the room, I just was like, that also made me lose it too. I just when that photo in his post, I got so
yeah,
emotional. Just
so
that
sad.
feeling of like here one moment, gone the next, and then all I could think about is his wife and his children. I just thought, oh,
Yeah, it was
so
terrible to
bad for them.
see to see Shraddha. She came first because she was the closest, right? She was in New York City. And so she arrived in the next day. And it was so sad to see her. Um, but she's very strong. She broke down when she also took the shoes. And she broke down and then she composed herself and she said, my family will be here tomorrow. Please be strong, don't cry. So I also don't cry and I give them the support that they needed. So yeah, she's
Wow.
young. She's very strong. And
Wow, Bianca. And so when you came home, you already I'm gathering you already had your community of practitioners in Katowice. Did you
Mhm.
did what was that experience like coming home? Because obviously all your students had heard the news and now you're coming back in to lead class. What did that feel like?
Well, all the students, they were very supportive. They all sent messages saying that we need to keep practicing, um, that we needed to, as his direct student, I needed to represent the his teachings and keep teaching them. So that was nice. And we did like a little ceremony in my house, like with some mantras and lead practice. Yeah. And then, but I was not teaching like daily. I just did this like during the weekend in my house for like close students and whoever wanted to come. But yeah, I was just like very sad. Somehow, like I feel like in the beginning, we all felt very, very lost as his student. Like, where should we go now? Like if we're like kids without the parents, you know. But
Yeah.
I think slowly we're finding the strength in the community and to keep the practice and the teachings going, because I think he would love to see that we continue practicing. He would be very angry if we just stop practicing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If everybody stopped at the same time. There's no way that's going to happen. I don't
yeah,
think.
I'm happy about that.
Yeah. That is what's pretty incredible about a legacy in relation to building a legacy and then letting it continue on. That's an amazing thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How are you feeling these days,
Yeah.
Bianca? It sounds like if you're processing everything well and health in a healthy way. Like if you were just like jumping up and down and like not acknowledging the grief, I would think, oh boy, but you seem like you're navigating it in a healthy way. Would you
Yeah.
agree?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the practice gives some necessary tools to keep us grounded, to observe our emotions. Um, I think about Guruji every day. Um, I have his photo right in front of my yoga mat. He's smiling, so when I step on my yoga mat, I know he's happy. Um, but I have my bad moments where I felt very, very sad and I was crying a lot. But again, like I had to teach, and teaching kind of helps this process of grief. Um, I was supposed to be in my store now in February, but I start my regular program now again, and I have committed students for it, so I had to cancel my upcoming trip. But I do wish to go to the next season. I know there will be other opportunities to be there and practicing the shala, even though Sharath is not there, and I'm looking forward to come back to Mysore and also um, to have this new opportunity of healing there, to practice in the shala without having him there physically. For us, there'll be also a different and profound experience, I would say.
Yeah. Is there any speculation and or clear idea about what the future of practice in Mysore, Ashtanga practice in Mysore, will entail? Do you think some of the will it become more of like a community driven experience with no one leading force, or is there talk of one person attempting to be
Hmm.
the guiding force?
We don't know. Right now, we're just practicing patience, I would say.
Yeah.
But we do know that from their own words, from Shruti his wife, and from Shraddha, they really want the practice to continue. They want us to keep teaching. They want us to keep practicing. Um, Shraddha, she has been practicing since COVID times, and we all know she's taking very seriously, but she's very young, and she just started her university in New York City. So she has other priorities, but maybe time will tell. I know right now in Mysore, people are practicing, and the certified teachers, they are assisting. and
Yeah.
giving new postures when is necessary.
Yeah.
So they're kind of controlling the room together, I would say. And I heard many positive feedbacks from my friends.
Cool.
Um, and and his wife is there, Shuraji. She's like giving support, and we'll see. Maybe next season they will do something very similar, in which the senior teachers or certified teachers, they will be assisting the students and giving postures, and maybe in the future, when Shraddha, she feels ready, she can step in. I don't know. It's like a big interrogation mark right now.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's slowly we're finding a system in the shala to continue this practice and continue to learn something. Um, and maybe they can kind of um, copy or get inspired by other schools of traditional traditional yoga, like for example Iyengar, that he's not there anymore, but still the school have their process of teaching authorizations and so on so on. um, so
Yes. Yes. And there's potential for great growth anytime there's this sort of sadness and challenge. So
mhm,
I hear
mhm.
you. I think, well, thank you so much for sharing all that with me. I really appreciate you opening up and being honest and just talking about all that. Thank you.
Thank you.
I know you have you offer retreats. I know you have an
Mhm,
Instagram handle,
mhm.
which I have the links below. Everyone can click and follow you. Do you have any retreats planned in the future?
Yes, I'm organizing a retreat in Ubud, Bali,
Oh man,
next month, in
amazing.
beginning of March. Yeah, it's a very nice place. And Ubud, have you been there?
I have. It's
Yeah, I love
beautiful.
Ubud.
It's beautiful. And the spas
Yeah,
there are incredible. People had told me about all the different spas they have in Ubud, and I thought, okay. And some of the decor and the art and
yeah.
the architecture and
Yes, yes,
the
yes.
feeling. Oh my gosh, it's so amazing.
Yeah, it's so nice. It's such a special, beautiful place. So I'm looking forward to go back there.
How long
Um,
is the retreat? A week or
a
longer?
week,
Yeah,
a week. Yes,
amazing.
yes. And the place is like in the middle of the rice fields.
Mm,
So it's in Ubud, but at the same time, it's like not in the crowd. Ubud is more like in the nature side.
nice.
Um, so I'm looking forward. And in the end of June, I'm planning retreat in the Dolomites. It's the in the Italian mountains. Is a very unique and special place.
How did
Um,
you find that place? Have you traveled there, specifically found the location and then decided to do, or you've heard through word of mouth that it's really amazing and you're
Yeah, word of mouth, that is really amazing. I really like to travel, but to destinations where I feel I can have contact with nature. Um, so I felt like that would be a very nice place
yeah,
to
yeah,
have. It will be summer solstice
very cool.
times. I think it would be very nice.
I have a neighbor that went and she brought back photos and it looks so spectacular. And she said some of the hikes are so amazing and like hairy too, like right on the edge, like you're out on this path and it's like a sheer drop. And I don't know if that's what you're planning to do, but she said some of the hikes were just unbelievable.
Yeah, I don't know. I just have seen the photos and I was fascinated. And I was like, wow, that looks amazing.
Does. That's cool, Bianca. When you do that, does your husband and son stay home, or do you guys travel as a family together, or does your son go with you? How do you manage holding and hosting retreats as a mom?
Well, it depends. Most of my retreats, they found a way to join, but now because of school, it's getting harder and harder to take him out. Um, so yeah, they do want to join me. Like my husband wants to join me for Bali, for example, and we need to make some special requests for him, to our son, for the teacher and the school, and we don't know how they're gonna react about it. So now we need to wait and see.
We're taking our son, and what they can maybe say, no, no, you're not, or he can't
Well,
graduate this year if you do, or yeah, it's
I
that's how it,
I don't know
yeah,
how it works, but
yeah.
like not here in Poland, but I know in UK when you take your kid out, that it's not like the kid's not sick and you just want to take out. And sometimes they, because it's not like a, I don't know, some important reason, you need to pay per day the absence of the kid in the school.
You have to
And
you pay for it.
yeah,
You pay a
and
fee, right?
yes, and the kid have a risk of losing this spot as well in this school.
Got it.
So
Yeah, there's so much to parenting, isn't there, that you just don't think about when you embark on
mhm.
an incredible journey. I remember I was down at the beach and I told somebody I was into kite surfing and I said to them, "Oh, I'm getting ready to have my first child," and they're like, "Well, you're not going to be coming here and kite surfing anymore." I'm like, "What are you talking about? Like, I'm going to be doing everything that I'm doing right now. That's not going to change anything in my life." And then the reality, and you're like, "Oh yeah, my life is definitely going to change for sure. This is like a whole new level." But I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Yeah, yeah. No, you still can push and and do
Yeah.
your travels and stuff, but definitely it's not that super easy as the kid grows, I would say. Like for example, the last time we were in India for a few months, my son was already complaining, like, I want to go back home, I want to go back to my room and my toys and my friends. So slowly,
Yeah, 100%. Their social life at home is like it's hard to pull them out of it.
yeah.
How about your is your extended family still a part of it in Brazil?
Yes, my mom and my father and my two sisters. Yeah, they
Are
are
they
in Brazil.
missing you? Are they missing you terribly, like having access to you and their grandson?
I think they miss more my son because
Yeah.
yeah, they
Like they don't
miss
miss me, but
my
they,
son.
yeah.
Yeah, they like yeah, they miss more my son for sure because I always like to travel and I was always gone from house since I was very young. And I think they got used to it. But after my son born, they kind of they're more needy, I would say. You need to call, you need to make video calls. I want to see him. I want to know what he's doing. So yeah.
Do you think you and your family, your husband and son would move back to Brazil?
Well, he has come up with this idea some time ago, and he come up with this idea from time to time. The weather is much better there, that's for sure, and the nature and everything. But after I had my son, um, I'm so concerned about his safety, and I feel like in Europe, I feel less stress and more. I feel more safe somehow than like going back to Brazil, especially if you move into a big city. I would have to find a place that is like more secluded, safe, and not, overpopulated, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah, I think for growing a child or, like to have like a more safe childhood or teenage years, Europe seems a better option than going back to Brazil. Maybe I'm only paranoid. I don't know, but it's
Yeah.
just how I feel.
Oh, I totally respect that. I understand exactly what you're saying. I put so much time and energy into thinking all I want to do is maintain a safe and happy environment for my family. Like I just feel like that's like my
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so much mental attention on that's all I care about. So I totally get what you're saying, Bianca.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so important.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. Well, you're a great mom. That's what it takes. So
Try.
I try.
Try.
Um, oh my gosh, Bianca, I love hearing your story. I'm so grateful to have this chance to meet you. Is there anything that from the aspect of myself and those of us listening, we all love yoga. This is a yoga podcast. And maybe sometimes, like if I ask you this question, what can you leave us with in terms of motivation and or inspiration to continue to practice? I mean, I really appreciate everything you had to say and share about this transitional experience of having a deep devoted relationship with a teacher, going through that loss and separation, but like finding the power to move forward and continue the legacy and that idea. And so maybe it's hard to come up with something motivational and inspirational. But I'm curious, do you have, I mean, your whole everything you've told me has already accomplished this goal. I guess I'm just trying to think of a way in terms of steering our conversation toward a close. Is there anything that you'd like to add
Mhm.
or thoughts or feelings?
Um, I think more than ever, like at this moment, I know like sometimes our intention in the practice change from time to time, and the motivation also change. But more than ever now, I feel like the this practice and what my teacher left as a last lesson for me and for many students is that everything that we're living is temporary. Um, and if we get attached to this idea of permanence, we just suffer. So with his unexpected death, we felt like we are all suffering so much because we cannot accept this idea of change, and knowing that we live in a, when things are not permanent, right? We need to accept this lesson of impermanence, and knowing that the only thing that really stays is the soul and the connection with the divine, or God, or how you want to say. And yeah, just navigating and learning how to live the life in this body, in this form, but not getting attached to life as it is, because everything change in one fraction of second. And I think the practice somehow helps, the physical practice helps for us to get in touch with this more subtle feelings and emotions that we can regulate, but also very important to dive deeper in the philosophical texts of yoga so we can understand all those questions on suffering, like all those questions we have: why we're here, where we're gonna go, why we suffer, is there an end for suffering, and all those things. So I think if you take the practice as a whole, not only physical but also the studies, the self studies, svadhyaya, we can have like a good base to progress spiritually in the practice.
Well said, Bianca.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much too. It was really nice. And
Thank
I
you.
hope you, how old your son or your daughter?
I have an 18-year-old son and I have an 11-year-old daughter. My
Okay.
son's name is Ethan. My daughter's name is Priya. I know my son is getting ready to go to university next year. So,
You look so young. How come you
oh,
have a
you're
thing?
so sweet. Well, yes, it happens. I was coming out of the studio yesterday and there was this mom with her baby in the stroller and I I came out, I said, "Oh my, how old's your son?" She said, "He's 9 weeks old." And I said, "Oh, congratulations." I said, my son is 18 now, getting ready to go to university. I said, I just can't even believe it. Like he was that little tiny. I said, I know there's no way you probably believe that's going to happen right now. Because I remember when my son was so tiny like that, you're not sleeping, you're like really in the throes of being a parent. And people come up to me and say, "Oh, enjoy it. It's so amazing. Like this is such a great time." And I remember thinking, "Are you kidding me? This is the hardest thing ever. This is never going to change." And you're right. Everything does change, and it happens in a snap. And so now that my son is getting ready to leave, I'm just so grateful that I have my daughter and that we have for a few more years with her too,
Yeah.
in the house and not and I look at everything too like I got a chance to make him breakfast yesterday, and I almost had this moment of like, I don't want to say like happy, sad, but like this might be like how many more times am I gonna be able to make him breakfast before he
Yeah,
goes off? You know what I mean? Like, I'm just
yeah,
cherishing every little moment right now, and I agree so much with what you're saying, Bianca, about like recognizing the impermanence and somehow not letting that like processing grief and being honest with grief, but at the same time finding the joy in the, I know it sounds crazy, joy in the suffering, the joy in the impermanence.
yeah.
I
Also,
agree.
I feel like it gives some type also joy for you to enjoy the present moment, because you know, like, life is so fragile and everything changes so quickly or anytime when we don't expect, and you take the present moment as a beautiful gift. You like, it's the only moment I really have, because the past is gone, the future is a projection. And yeah, right now let's enjoy the breakfast with my daughter,
Yeah,
you know, because you never can happen. And it's a beautiful realization too, like to feel very grateful and really present. So yeah, it's again this kind of uh, this concept that is a bit hard to have, like this sadness and grief and not acceptance of things, and at the same time have space to be very grateful and somehow have like a deep joy of being in the present moment. So I think that's what lots of students of Sharath are dealing now in Mysore.
yeah,
Being there and so sad that he's not there, but also being very grateful for the teachings and the community and being there. And I think it's a lesson we can take any situation every day in our life, right? In family and with ourselves and with everything.
I agree, Bianca. Well,
I
I'm
don't
very,
sense what I said, but
no, it makes perfect sense. And I'm really grateful and appreciative of you making time out of your day for us. And I look forward to, oh, well, if I could just dream big, it'd be amazing to fly to Ubud and the Dolomites sometime soon. I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull it off, but that sounds
of course,
absolutely incredible, Bianca. And I hope to meet you in person one day in the future.
yeah.
And I wish you and your family well. And thank you so much. And I look forward to in future having another conversation with you.
Thank you so much, Todd, and wish you also the best to you and your family. Enjoy your breakfast with your daughter while you can.
Thank you, Bianca.
Yeah. And keep practicing. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.